We board gamers are a competitive bunch. While many of us are there for the fun of the game and social interaction, there are some among us who cannot resist the opportunity to cheat. In today's video, I will run through board and card gaming's top 10 cheating scandals of all time, here on Legendary Tactics. While gamers like to think of themselves as agreeable and sportsmanlike, cheating in games is as old as gaming itself. There are some games which even make it part of their culture, like baseball, which has such an extensive history of cheating that entire books have been written about it. My favorite instance of cheating in baseball involved a catcher substituting a potato for the ball in a pickoff attempt back in 1987, but I digress. And cheating in board games? As it turns out, we board gamers also have quite a history in this department. Here are my top 10 board and card game cheating scandals as of 2022. Now I have to say before we begin that due to its long recorded history, higher profile, and high stakes, chess dominates this list to a large degree. So I will alternate back and forth between chess and other games to keep things interesting. My list is not in order of severity or anything, as I think we can agree that all cheating is bad, especially if you get caught. Also, when it comes to cheating, there has to be some stakes involved. Cheating against your family at Parcheesi isn't going to make the list, no matter how scandalous it turned out to be. No, this is cheating at the tournament level, when more than bragging rights are involved. Number 10 happened recently in July of 2019. Igor Rausis, a 58-year-old chess grandmaster from the Czech Republic, was taking part in a tournament in Strasbourg, France. Rausis took a bathroom break. Nothing unusual about that, except someone took a photograph of Rausis sitting fully clothed on the toilet, using his phone to access chess software to help him with his next moves. "I simply lost my mind," Rausis was quoted as saying by chess.com. "I confirmed the fact of using my phone during the game." Apparently the World Chess Federation had already had him on their radar, as his rise in the chess world was very suspicious and questionable. Not to mention the fact that it's very unusual for someone at his age to rise in a competitive field, which is typically dominated by younger players. They banned him from international chess for 6 years as punishment. Number 9 is a surprising one, at least for me. Kenneth Halfron, representing the US of A, was crowned the world champion in Ticket to Ride on November 4th, 2014. That a world champion was crowned was not surprising. What was surprising was that it came after Erwin Paulsen, the first announced winner, had resigned in shame. Drawing from an initial pool of 25,000 players, Days of Wonder brought the 28 national champions to a place near Paris, France, named Issy-les-Moulineaux, for a 3-round qualifier, followed by head-to-head quarterfinals, semifinals, and then the finals, a best-of-3 contest to determine the best in the world, who turned out to be Paulsen. Or was it? Sharp-eyed viewers watching the games online spotted something irregular. Questions came flooding in, and so Days of Wonder checked the video evidence. It turned out that in Game 2, Paulsen had drawn extra cards, and this was not noticed by his opponent nor the table judge at the time, though it had been captured on video. This, according to the rules, allowed Days of Wonder to disqualify Paulsen and give first place to Halfron. In his official statement, Paulsen said that after playing 8 games that day, he was quite tired, and he accidentally took cards from the table that were not mine. This is the English translation. Since it is on camera that I took the wrong cards and the organization really wanted the trophy back, I agreed. He did check with a lawyer on the matter, but she stated the predefined rules of the organization meant that he didn't have a case. Halfron, for his part, said, "This is no accident, and it is not something the judge or myself could catch easily." Was it a simple mistake made by a tired player, or something more deliberate? We have no real way of knowing. Number 8. In a 1994 chess tournament, Judith Polgar was up against none other than Garry Kasparov. Now, if you know anything about chess, you will know that when you make a move and release the piece, you are committed to that move and can't take it back. This is called the touch move rule. Kasparov, at one point in the game, moved a piece and momentarily took his hand off it, literally for a quarter of a second, before undoing the move. It happened so fast that later analysis by a cognitive psychologist said that there was no way it was a conscious decision. Still, rules are rules. Kasparov eventually went on to win the game. Polgar officially objected, as Kasparov's act was apparently caught on tape by the tournament organizers, but they refused to release it as evidence. The problem cited was that Polgar waited a whole day to raise the issue, instead of bringing it up during the game. So the moral of the story is to call out something like that when it happens, so you don't miss out. Number 7. Though not technically a board game, bridge is obviously a card game of high prominence, and I find this story really interesting. In August of 2021, there was a qualifying tournament for the 2021 World National Team Championships held by the European Bridge League. Everything was coming together until suddenly 2 prominent German players suddenly withdrew with only a few weeks' warning. But why? Quite simply, it had been announced that Fulvio Fantoni had been confirmed for the Italian national team. For years, Fantoni and his perennial partner Claudio Nunes had been suspected of cheating. As far back as 2014, they had been infamous for some low odds and risky bids that resulted in them pulling off some unbelievable but suspicious victories, resulting in the World Bridge Federation ranking them number 1 and number 2. After studying their play on video, Micah Mevius, a physicist, joined forces with Boje Brogeland, a professional bridge player from Norway, and showed that when Fantoni and Nunes had a strong card in hand or when they had run out of that suit, they placed their played card vertically, otherwise it was placed horizontally. Though the 2 men denied any wrongdoing, the American Contract Bridge League permanently banned them in 2016 and stripped them of 4 years of titles. The European Bridge League banned them both from playing as partners and from league play for 5 years, and the Italian Bridge Federation banned them for 3 years. Fantoni and Nunes appealed the European Bridge League's decision, with some legal representation, and won on appeal, where the judge said that the league could not prove that they were cheating for sure, and the Italian Bridge Federation reversed its ruling as well after 6 months. After those 2 German players withdrew, chaos began. Scotland was scheduled to face Fantoni and Italy first, but they forfeited. Next up was Wales, who also forfeited. Then Slovenia, Lithuania, and Ukraine all preemptively threw in the towel in protest, and this was all on day 1 of the tournament. One by one, all 30 teams that were supposed to face Fantoni and Italy forfeited, and Fantoni had never even been dealt a card. And what was the Italian response? To blame the other teams, of course. Part of the letter read, "The league should have expelled those who did not show up for the competition. If it had done so after the first or second match, the other teams might have behaved differently." Number 6. One of the earliest cheating scandals involving any sort of technology happened back in 1993, during the Chess World Open. An unrated player under the dubious name of John von Neumann turned up wearing headphones. If the name John von Neumann sounds familiar, it's because it's the same name of a famous pioneer in artificial intelligence research. This player won 4 games in the open section, including one with an especially highly ranked player, and even drew a game against a chess grandmaster. Further to that, there was something in his pocket that was humming or buzzing at certain important points of the game. When von Neumann was taken aside by the tournament director, it was discovered that this individual couldn't even demonstrate a rudimentary knowledge of simple chess concepts, and he was disqualified on the spot. But you know what really would be a scandal? Not taking a moment to like, comment, and subscribe down below. Take a moment and do it now. Number 5. Magic the Gathering apparently dealt with a lot of cheating in the early tournaments, but things have gotten a lot better in recent years. However, back in 2014 at the Magic World Cup, there was an incident. 2 teams representing Israel and Portugal were facing off. Marcio Carvalho for Team Portugal found himself in some trouble. The official statement from the Wizards of the Coast webpage said, "Marcio Carvalho has been disqualified from the 2014 World Magic Cup for intentionally presenting an illegal deck. After evaluating the specifics of this case and given the unique nature of the World Magic Cup, a determination was made that this will not affect the rest of Team Portugal. The remaining 3 players will be allowed to continue in the tournament, and the disqualification will not affect their standing." What had happened was that one of the Israeli players had noticed a card hidden, though Carvalho would claim it had been forgotten. It turned out that this card was the Hornet Queen, that happened to be a perfect card for this matchup, and also apparently not a card you would want in your opening hand, but one that would be perfect to draw at the opportune time. A judge arrived on the scene and gave Carvalho a loss for presenting the illegal deck. Carvalho denied cheating, saying that it was an honest mistake, but regardless, it looked bad because of the card it happened to be, because Carvalho had been accused of cheating in the past, and also because Carvalho had allegedly pile shuffled his deck earlier, which should have caused him to notice his deck was a card short. And his response was a bit less than it could have been. I know I don't have the best reputation, but if I was going to cheat, I would have hid the card better. So did he cheat? Mistakes can and do happen, especially as a tournament drags on and fatigue sets in. The fact is, we will never know. Number 4. Back to chess once more. There was an interesting cheating incident at the Chess 2017 World Blitz Chess Championship. For those of you unfamiliar with Blitz chess, it operates under the exact same rules as chess, but there is a very limited time in which you're allowed to think about your move, which makes for an arguably lower quality but faster paced and more exciting game. Grandmaster Bator Sambuev was playing an international master, Nikolay Noritsyn, in one such blitz chess match. At the time the incident occurred, Noritsyn appeared to be winning but was extremely low on time. He moved a pawn onto the back rank. For those of you who don't know chess well, the pawns are the smaller pieces found on the front row right at the beginning of the game. They only move straight ahead and pretty slowly at that. If you manage to get one to the opposite end of the board, where your opponent begins the game, you get to exchange that pawn for one of the pieces that has been captured, which is a process called promoting your pawn. It's a good thing, and it can change the momentum of the game, as a lowly pawn can instantly become a more powerful piece. The most powerful piece in chess is the queen, and Noritsyn knew that he had one available on the side of the board. But where was it? Because he was so low on time, he grabbed a rook, which looks like a castle, and flipped it over so it would represent the queen that he had intended to place. The missing queen happened to be concealed in Sambuev's hand, though. When the arbiters paused the game to see what was going on, Sambuev quietly placed the queen back where it should have been, and the judges came to the conclusion that Noritsyn had grabbed the rook, a weaker piece, by accident. So they ruled that the promotion of the pawn was to a rook, not a queen, as intended. Sambuev went on to win the game. Was the queen deliberately held by Sambuev, or was it mistakenly held in his hand as his concentration was elsewhere? You can be the judge of that, as Noritsyn's video appeal was denied a hearing. Number 3. Scrabble is a game where sportsmanship is traditional, at least in the games I have played. But even this game is vulnerable to cheating, as was the case in 2012 at a tournament in Orlando, Florida. It was the National Scrabble Tournament. At the end of each game, to ensure no tiles are missing, the 100 tiles are arranged in 5x5 squares. Arthur Moore, a computer technician from Florida, noticed that a teenage boy was going to be his next opponent, and that the 2 blank tiles, which in Scrabble are wild, were side by side in one of the squares at his opponent's side of the table. This boy had a cloud of suspicion around him. Not only had the boy drawn both blanks in a game against Moore the day before, but the boy had had a suspiciously strong performance at a previous tournament. As the bags were filled, Moore watched the boy's hands and saw him palm both blanks in his hand by closing his middle ring and pinky fingers over them. When the boy's hands went underneath the table, Moore called for a tournament director. When the tournament director dumped the bag's contents on the table to check, a spectator nearby called out that a couple of tiles had dropped to the floor, which turned out to be the blank tiles in question. The boy was ejected from the tournament, and the news media had a field day about it. It was sad that it happened, but the inordinate amount of attention by the media can't have been a good thing for either the boy or the game of Scrabble, which normally doesn't have a lot of cheating. Number 2. We return to chess one last time. Chess has so many stories of cheating, including a legend where King Canute of the North Sea Empire accused a Danish nobleman and then murdered him for it, and the infamous automated chess opponent known as the Turk from 1770. At the 2017 World Blitz Chess Championship in Riyadh, an interesting situation arose. Two grandmasters were facing off, Ernesto Inarkiev from Russia and Magnus Carlsen from Norway. Inarkiev, under the extreme time pressure of Blitz chess, made an illegal move in checking Carlsen's king. The reason that it was illegal was because Inarkiev's king was in check from Carlsen's previous move, and he was obligated to move it to safety. When Carlsen responded by moving his own king out of check, Inarkiev called over a deputy arbiter, saying that Carlsen had just performed an illegal move. In fact, the only legal move was to call out the illegal move Inarkiev had made. As a result, Inarkiev was awarded the win. The decision was appealed, as the accusation was made that Inarkiev had attempted to use his own illegal move to force a win. Ultimately, the initial decision was overturned, and play was ordered to resume. Inarkiev refused to do so, and Carlsen won by default. Hardly a glamorous instance of chess played at a high level, but sometimes these things can go off the rails. Number 1. Monopoly. For this cheating scandal, we have to go all the way back to November 22nd, 1975. The European Championship was being held in Reykjavik, Iceland. A Frenchman, Pierre Millet, was awarded the event's top prize amid protests by Belgian finalist Roger Hendrick. Hendrick had accused a Swiss player, Paul Agopian, of going back on a deal. Hendrick had been trading away his orange properties as part of a make-or-break deal, and insisted that Agopian had said that he would include a red property in the trade, which he had reneged on. Hendrick had gone bankrupt shortly thereafter. The appeal was heard, but ultimately the ruling went against Hendrick, and the direction was given that intentions during trades must be made absolutely clear, and that is the responsibility of the players. Hendrick said in a press conference afterward that he considered the actions of the Swiss player and also those of the referee had been deliberate. Either way, this resulted in the first international incident concerning the board game Monopoly. And there you have it, the top 10 board and card game cheating scandals of all time, or at least that I could find. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope it scared you straight. Don't cheat, guys. Win fair and square and then set up another one. You know the drill. This is Legendary Tactics.